Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 35 of Ultimate Exotics, the review series for Gran Turismo's selection of top tier supercars. And in this particular pick, we are reviewing one of the best known supercars, certainly of the 90s, but also probably of all time, one of Lamborghini's best selling models as well, the Diablo. A very well known supercar, very iconic, and also kind of infamous. The handling is known to be tricky. It's considered to be one of the most difficult cars ever made to master, up there probably with the Stratos and the Cobra and various others. And in real life, the Diablo has taken a lot of lives. Many people have died driving Lamborghini Diablos, which isn't all that surprising given that it's an old school Lamborghini, and Lamborghinis are known for being challenging at the best of times, especially the older ones. So what about on the game? Because on the game we have a couple of Diablos. We have the GT, which is this model, and we also have the GT1, which is a JGTC eligible vehicle, although many people in public lobbies won't see it that way. And that is a good car. It's, in my opinion, the best Super GT eligible machine in the game. By far the quickest in a straight line, not necessarily always the quickest around any circuit, but certainly a brilliant car anyway. So what about this car? This is of course a road vehicle, and it is one of the more powerful Lamborghinis. It's more powerful than the Aventador, it's more powerful than the LP640, it's around a similar kind of power to the Tonne. So is it any good? Well, first things first is the price. 300 grand is pretty good, to say the least, for any supercar, let alone a Lambo, and a premium Lambo at that. The GT model is also pretty much the best version of the Diablo ever made as a road vehicle. You've got some race-inspired versions like the GTR, and also, of course, the various Jota or SV models, which are also great, but the GT was the ultimate Diablo for pure straight-line speed on the street. It was capable of around 210 miles per hour in real life, so still quick even by today's standards. What about on the game though? Well, I'm very pleased to say for Diablo fans and Lamborghini enthusiasts in general that this is the fastest Lamborghini in the game for top speed. It's faster than the Aventador, it's faster than the GT1 racing version, it's faster than the LP640, it's even faster than the Tonne. That's a good start. 295 miles per hour, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on tuning, is a really good top speed for the Diablo, and it's a top speed that, as unrealistic as it is, it deserves to have in comparison to the other OP top speeds that are on the game. If you're going to make the cars too fast, then the Diablo should be, as it is, up there with the best of them. The acceleration, on the other hand, is a little bit more tricky. You've only got 5 gears to work with, and it is an old school supercar at the end of the day, so the acceleration takes a little bit more fine tuning. It can be sluggish due to the fact that you have to use those 5 gears a little bit more sparingly than you would with a 6-speed or even 7-speed, similar in effect actually to the Mercedes SLR McLaren, in which you also only have 5 gears to work with. But if you tune it right, this car, despite being rear-wheel drive, which is unusual for modern Lamborghinis, it can still launch off the line pretty rapidly. It can actually outrun some all-wheel drive cars off the line, in fact. Now, the engine is a turbocharged 6-litre, it's a V12 mid-mounted, and it puts out some serious power. 1,056 horsepower fully tuned, and also a very impressive 703 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty good for an Italian V12. As I've mentioned on the channel before, they're typically not up there with American or other European supercars for torque. They don't tend to go for that very much. The Diablo, though, has, in this form at least, a really good helping of torque. As far as weight, it's reasonable. It's not overly light, it's not overly heavy at 1,281 kilos. This is, of course, a pretty well-equipped road car at the end of the day, not a stripped-out track day special, and it does put out 824 horsepower per tonne, which is nothing to be sniffed at for a road car. The PP is pretty good, I would say. It's not overly high, as it could easily be with such a powerful car, at 648. I'd say that's about right for this car. You wouldn't really want it to be any higher than that, that's for sure, because although it's certainly very quick in a straight line, as you can see from the footage of me driving it in this video in its fully tuned form, it's not necessarily the most ideal of track cars. Even as a race car, the Diablo is still more at home being a straight line machine than it is around corners. It is, as I've already mentioned, very much an old school supercar. So, is it good as a track car? Would I recommend it as a competition machine, or is this more one of those supercars that's best suited to straight lines, such as the Ultimate Aero or a Hennessy? Well, to some degree, yeah, I would say it is. The acceleration is very strong, the top speed is even stronger, and the high-speed stability is also very good. It can hold its own with cars like the Nismo, the wherein, etc. But around the track, it does fall apart very quickly. Now, it can be tuned to take on certain tracks really well, but the handling just doesn't lend itself towards taking on modern supercars, and in some cases even some of the older supercars like the McLaren F1 or the XJ220 can absolutely wipe the floor with the Diablo on twisty circuits. So if you are planning, or really must use your Diablo as a track car, if you really love the car and want to use it as much as possible, which I can completely understand, I'd recommend saving it more for tracks where you can really use its advantages to just that, your best advantage. Tracks such as fairly obvious choices like the Le Mans, but also tracks like Monza, where although the straights aren't particularly long overall, you still get a chance to use some of that serious power. Tracks such as the Nuremberg Ring, though, or even here at Laguna Seca, to be honest, don't really suit the car. You don't have enough straightaway to really use that power. And if you restrict the power down, it does help it to cope better, but even then, it's not light enough to be a hardcore track day special, and it's still a reasonably large car. So as a track car, I'd recommend probably giving it a miss, but as a straight line machine, it's very strong. But that's it overall for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.